everyone. So now we are going to talk about the Republic Act number 9003, or also known as the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. So let's start. The environmental aspect of our planet plays a huge role in having a lifelong, sustaining place to live in. As superior individuals, it is our responsibility to take good care of our environment, since it is the main source of our daily needs in order to survive. This means to think about the various ways and implementation of actions that can support and protect our surroundings. One of the action plans is for the government to take a movement in creating laws that will surely secure the habitable element of our environment. The Republic Act number 9003, or also known as the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, is an act providing ecological solid management programs, creating the necessary institutional mechanisms and intense incentives, declaring certain acts prohibited and providing penalties, appropriating funds, therefore and for other purposes. It aims to integrate environmental conservation with economic objectives. In line with this, it seeks the reorientation of the views of the community towards the minimization of solid waste, volume reduction, and recovery of resources. It is due for the reason that solid waste management was foreseen as one of the major serious environmental issues in the Philippines nowadays.
Issues and problems on the solid waste management in the Philippines. Number 1, increasing number of solid waste. Based on the table, in 2012, the Philippines produced 37,427.46 tons, and in 2016, the amount increased to 40,087.45 tons. According to the findings of all the regions of Luzon, NCR, Region 4A or the Calabar Zone, and Region 3, the Central Luzon, contributed the most to the production of solid waste. In 2016, these three regions alone produced 17,542.41 tons of solid waste, or 43.76% of the total amount of the waste generated in the country. Number 2, scarcity of sanitary landfill. According to the current Philippine law on waste management, as stated in RA 9003, uncontrolled, open, and illegal dump sites are undesirable, but the lack of sanitary landfills is caused by the ongoing increase in waste generation. As of 2020, there were no specific or comprehensive data on these 189 sanitary landfills. However, the table displays the top 5 regions in the nation with the greatest number of sanitary landfills. According to DNR, they collectively had 137 sanitary landfills, which is 72.49% of all the sanitary landfills in the nation. Other than Region 4A or the Calabar Zone, these regions did not contribute most of the nation's solid waste. Number 3, improper disposal of solid waste. This is one likely reason why people who have too much waste choose to dispose it improperly by leaving it in the street, by burning it, or dumping it in the open area. And last, number 4, weak law implementation. The implementation of RA 9003 is indicated by a number of provisions in this law. According to Castillo and Otoma, open and controlled dams are still being used in the nation, which results in poor solid waste management.
In accordance with the National Solid Waste Management Framework, assigned individuals are tasked to create a long-term plan through its solid waste management local boards. Each barangay or every barangay's solid waste collection region is covered by geographic divisions, assuring 100% efficiency within 24 hours from all sources. These shall take into account factors such as availability and provision of properly designed containers in specific collection points, and many more. The Solid Waste Management Fund is a special account established by the Act in the National Treasury. This will come from collected fines and penalties, license and permit earnings, gifts, endowments, and others. The fund will be used to finance awards or incentives, programs, get information, education, communication, and capability building activities. But despite the fact that RA 9003 requires municipalities to achieve a waste diversion rate at least 25% by 2006, most of them struggle to properly implement the waste legislation because of budgetary constraints, a lack of expertise, and competing interests that shall stall the setting of priorities and political decision making.
So now let us proceed to the next topic, which is the activities and efforts done under RA 9003, or also known as Republic Act of Solid Waste Management. So first, what are the other major activities in solid waste management under Republic Act 9003? And the following are the example of this. Number 1 is processing. 2 is collection and transport. 3, establishment of materials recovery facility. And lastly, disposal. First, let us talk about processing. And what does processing covers? Processing covers the following activities. Number 1 is segregation. Second, reuse. Third, recycling. And the last one is composting. What is segregation? Segregation at source refers to the practice of separating at the points of origin different materials found in solid waste for the purpose of recycling and reusing them so as to reduce the volume of waste for collection and disposal. Solid waste materials can be categorized according to its material. It can be compostable, recyclable, or non-recyclable. Compostable waste materials are the materials that can be easily decomposed. The recyclable materials are the materials that can be reused or can be transformed into a new product. The non-recyclable are the materials that can't be reused or can't be reproduced. Next, under the processing is the reuse. Reuse, which is mandated by RA 9003, refers to the recovery of materials intended to be used again. Some examples of this are using bottles, containers, plastics, and used paper, or at the same time, newspaper. Solid waste materials are transformed into new products or raw materials for the production of other goods and services. The third one under process is composting. So, what is composting? Composting, which is mandated by law, refers to the controlled decomposition of organic matter by microorganisms, mainly bacteria and fungi, into humus-like product. It saves water by helping the soil hold moisture and reduce water. Collection refers to the act of removing solid waste from the source or from a communal storage point. Proper solid waste collection is important for the protection of public health, safety, and environmental quality. The third major activity that can be proposed is the establishment of material recovery facility. Materials recovery facility includes a solid waste transfer station or sorting station, drop-off center, a composting facility, and a recycling facility. So in short, MRF is a facility that receives, sorts, process, and stores recyclable materials to be shipped and marketed to end users. The other major activity is the disposal. Disposal refers to the discharge, deposit, dumping, spilling, leaking, or placing of any solid waste into or in any land. It is classified into three types of disposals: the open dump, controlled dump, and the sanitary landfill. The open dumping site is one where solid waste is disposed of in a way that does not safeguard the environment, is subject to open burning, and is exposed to the elements, vectors, and scavengers. Specifically, an open dump serves its purpose in keeping waste separated from commercial and residential areas, thus limiting exposure to disease and objectionable odor. Next is the controlled dump. A controlled dump is a disposal site in which solid waste is deposited in accordance with the minimum prescribed standards of site operation to minimize possible adverse impacts. And these are commonly found in urban areas, and because they are managed by the government, some dumps do have certain features of a landfill like 10-year of usage, basic record keeping, waste carrying, and etc. A sanitary landfill is a waste disposal site, properly designed, constructed, operated, and maintained in a manner that possesses the least environmental impacts. The sanitary landfill is the most desired waste management option in reducing or eliminating public health hazards and environmental pollution. And these are some of the major activities that can be done in maintaining solid waste management.
As reported in the study of Castillo and Atoma, the municipality of Los Baños, for instance, implemented Republic Act 9003's integrated waste management method through a three-dimensional approach which are social, political, and technical aspects led by their mayor, Antonio F. Genoino. On the social dimension, they involved the people and various sectors of the community through multi-information education campaign approaches of dialogues and consultations. The LGU also promoted the use of alternative eco-friendly containers and instilled to the people that solid waste management is not only the responsibility of the LGU, but also of their constituents. On the political dimension, they passed an ordinance on waste segregation and anti-littering law to complement the community initiatives. And lastly, on the technical dimension, they organized a collection schedule, segregated at source, unloaded bio-wastes, shredded and composted residual wastes, distributed composting drums, and composted at household level. Coordination was also done with plastic and polystyrene industries on recovery and recycling systems. In addition, they also established an informal people's organization in order to minimize the solid waste in the municipality and uplift the economic status of its members. However, in general, it was found out that there are many LGUs in the country that are having difficulty in responding to Republic Act 9003, due mainly to limited financial and technical assistance received, as well as the poor willpower of the local government officials in implementing the law. For the encapsulation of our report, the Republic Act 9003, or known as the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, provides ecological solid waste management programs. The Philippines is facing a serious solid waste problem, so such a decree was established. In connection to this, the garbage management issue is greatly influenced by human activity. Hence, in order to address this, the Republic Act 9003 mandates the activities of segregation, composting, and disposing of solid wastes. On the other hand, one of the compliant localities in the country towards the Solid Waste Management Act is the municipality of Los Baños. They implemented it by means of a three-dimensional approach, which are social, political, and technical aspects. However, there are still many LGUs in the country that are struggling to efficiently accomplish the mandates of Republic Act 9003, due mainly to limited financial and technical assistance, as well as the poor willpower of the local government officials in implementing the law.